Hey everybody, what is going on? Back to disc golf chat with your reigning, defending, two-time world champ, Isaac Robinson. How does that sound, by the way?
Oh, pretty crazy. Still getting used to it. It happened a couple months ago, and
Hmm.
yeah, still sinking in.
Yeah, it happened about 10 miles from my house.
Oh, sick. Very cool.
How did you like the courses up here, by the way?
Oh, I loved both of them. Obviously, I think I liked New London a little bit better. That's more of the style of disc golf that I like, and the course was just, they made it look really good um,
Hmm.
for Worlds. And then Ivy Hill, the property was just absolutely beautiful. Um, I think that's the nicest golf course I've ever played on, and so it was just really just two courses that really fit what I think they were looking for the World Championship.
Yeah, I played Ivy. I was like, man, the OB is kind of ridiculous over here.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
New London, I've played that many times and I'm absolutely terrible at it. But yeah, they took a little out of that course with a little bit of stuff, but and
Mhm.
sadly the whole course will be leaving before long.
I know. I was looking at the tee signs, and holes one, two, and three certainly looked a lot harder with the OB that they
Hmm.
took out. I kind of wish they left it in.
Well, it's not only that they took that out; they took so much underbrush out of there as well.
Mm.
That's what really surprised me.
Okay. See,
So I mean, if
didn't
y'all had
know that.
gone out, to the right with all that brush still there, it would have made it so much harder. But y'all wouldn't have done that anyway.
I don't know.
So first off, let's get to what we always start with. Sponsors. Do you have
Mhm.
any sponsors you want to shout out before we get rolling?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Prodigy Disc, 1010 Discs, the retailer out of Memphis, and
Mm-hmm.
then new one this year is the Vessi shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Been loving those shoes, and then Circle One Disc Golf. They give me all my apparel, hats, shirts, all that stuff. So, want to thank them, give them a shout out.
That's awesome. The shoes, are they specific disc golf or no?
No, the company is trying to get kind of into the disc golf market, and they've designed a great shoe for disc golf, completely waterproof and extremely grippy on the tee pads. Has some good like trail tread, so it's very much like a hiking shoe, um, and works great in the rain, in the mud, um, and yeah, I've been loving them. Been wearing them since April, and haven't
Mm-hmm.
had an issue at all with them.
They have good wear on them, like for
Hmm.
lifetime on them, or
Yeah, I've been wearing the same pair since about April or May,
mm-hmm.
and it's hasn't really haven't noticed. They're a little dirtier, but
Yeah,
haven't noticed them falling apart
mm-hmm.
or tearing up at all.
That's awesome. I'll have to look
Hmm.
in those because I wear Brooks, like the
Hmm.
running shoes.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find something that I might change to. I'll definitely look into the Vessies.
Hey, check
And
them
by the
out.
way, there
Yeah.
is a link down below.
Hmm. Yep.
All right, now to the show. How did you get started in disc golf?
Yeah. How did I get started? Well, it was a family sport growing up. Um, my dad found it with his brothers, kind of right as he and my mom got married. And
Mm-hmm.
then as kids started coming along, he just kind of dragged all of us out to the park because it was something he enjoyed doing, and then it also gave my mom a break at home
Mm-hmm.
without all the kids, and so it really was just a way for us to spend family time. All of my family is extremely competitive, and so the early rounds were very, you know, much like they are today, where everybody is very competitive, very into it, and that was kind of the start. So pretty much as soon as we were walking, I think I was on the course by, you know, age 5 or 6,
Wow.
And yeah, so just walking and, not throwing very far, but, throwing forehand rollers, trying to get the most distance I could. Um, and then just kind of progressed from there to where we started playing tournaments. Um, I think I started playing tournaments when I was 11 or 12. And,
Wow.
and then, yeah, and then by age 15, I was playing in the pro division at local courses, local tournaments, and I think I got my first pro win at age 16. So,
That's
and
incredible.
then yeah, so that was pretty much kind of the start. We were playing, local leagues, and I owe a lot of my success to kind of the early people that we were playing with. A lot of the league guys were like, "Oh, you guys got something special here. Keep at it." And they were always encouraging us, always giving us new discs to try, and it was just a really, I think, healthy way to get introduced to the sport. And it's just neat to see those people that I played with so long ago, to be able to go back home and play some rounds with them and see them again, because it's just, so much history there.
So you're from Georgia. Are you a Bulldogs fan?
Oh yes.
So when I messaged you and I asked you on the thumbnail what color did you want, and I later found out you're from Georgia. I was like, maybe I should have put a little red and black on there for you. You there? Did you freeze or did I freeze? Hello. Hold on. All right, he'll be back, I believe. Oh no. I think he. Yes, Chris, we had some technical difficulties. So, two-time world champion was on the podcast. Give him a second. Oh, anybody in the chat, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat, and when he gets back, we will ask more questions. So hopefully he comes back. Fingers crossed. Never had this happen before. I just realized, I guess we can't talk about the Georgia Bulldogs. I guess that was the problem. All right, he exited. I think he's going to try to come back. I hope. Yeah. Maybe his hotel doesn't have good Wi-Fi. Hmm. Hmm. Heh. Well. Oh, by the way, new ratings day came out. If anybody's got any ratings they want to talk about, let me know. As mine jumped up 13 points, I think it was, all the way up to like 794, almost to 800. So I'm almost at 800. Baby steps, baby steps. So that's exciting. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, I cannot mention the Georgia Bulldogs. Oh, I cannot hear you. Technical difficulties. Let's see, I don't think you have it muted or anything. Do you want to try to go back out and come back in again? That's the only thing I can think of. I don't know. All right. Well, try again. Try again. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. When the internet works, it's great. When it doesn't, eh. All right. Fingers crossed. Try again. Still can't hear you. Do you have earpiece or anything? No. I can't mention have anything muted on your phone or your connection. It's not muted on this. Oh. Hello, Rebecca. Oh, by the way, Rebecca is down there where the hurricane is barreling toward Florida. Um, all the thoughts and good vibes with Rebecca down there and all the people down in Florida because that is not looking good. Then all the people in I know North Carolina, Tennessee, and everywhere. So send your thoughts and prayers out to all of them because it's not looking good over there. All right, try again. Hey, I hear
Can you hear
you
me
now.
now?
I hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. It's good. It's kind of weird. Can you hear me?
Rebecca.
Uh huh. Can you hear me? Now you can't hear me? Try this. Let's try this.
I
I can hear you.
Oh, perfect. Well, I can hear you too.
Yay!
So there we go.
All
Sorry, my
right.
phone did something weird there.
Yeah. I like I said to them, I was like, when technology works, it's great. When it doesn't, this is what happens.
It's so terrible. Yeah.
Uh-huh. I know it was like hotel Wi-Fi or something.
Yeah, my phone does something weird where it like disconnects from it won't work on the Wi-Fi and it won't work on service. I don't know
Hmm.
what's wrong with it. So,
Hmm.
might need a new phone.
Hey, what kind do you go with? iPhone or
Yeah.
Galaxy?
Yeah, it's an iPhone.
Yeah, I love my iPhone.
Yeah. Yeah, they're good
All right,
usually.
see, where were we? Family being competitive. I see,
Hmm.
I see you and Ezra, so I kind of assume that is very much true.
Yes, definitely is.
One thing I do see you actually are frozen, but I can still hear you,
Oh,
so that's okay.
well, I guess that works.
Mhm. Let's see. After winning world championship, I had to know this question because me and my friends, we will prank each other and have so much fun. Like I'm sure you guys always do.
Hmm.
Um, I know if one of my friends won worlds and then I beat them in the tournament, then I would then claim to be world champion. Do they ever do that to you?
No, I think you know, I think they actually want to win like any tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I think just beating me in a practice round doesn't really count for them. Um, they're competitive enough to where they want to win the real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you know, I have friends back home who would definitely do that. Maybe not on friends on tour wouldn't do that, but friends back home would definitely do that.
Mm-hmm. Who's the pizza box tallest world champ?
Ooh, I know I held it for 1 year, and I think Calvin took it this year, took
Mm-hmm.
my title. So I'll have to get that back. That's one I care about.
I love watching those videos. Y'all have so much fun. It's so awesome to see.
It's a good time.
All right, now when you first start playing on the pro tour, that was what 2020 or so.
I guess it depends on how you define playing on the pro tour,
Kind of like
but
your like full seasons. Wasn't that about 21,
mhm.
22?
Full season was I played half of the 2022 season, and
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of my first full-time touring, and then obviously I played the whole 2023 season, and now
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing the whole 2024 season. So
Mm-hmm.
this will mark 2.5 years on the road.
Okay, so and I looked and tell me if I'm wrong. You've played in 3 world championships.
Uh, I believe four. I played in 2017 when it was
Okay,
in
I
Georgia.
didn't see that one.
Yep. So that was I think 16 at the time, and
Wow,
I think I came in like 20th or something.
that's pretty good for the first time at 16. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
how long did it take? Well, let me go back to this one.
Mhm.
Growing up, I'm assuming you watched a lot of disc golf as well.
Mhm.
Did you see players and kind of look up to them and want to maybe emulate the way they play?
Mhm. Yeah. I guess not so much emulate the way they play, but I definitely looked up to, I think everybody kind of in the the early like 2012 era looked
Hmm.
up to Paul Macbeth. And I was no different growing up watching Rick and Paul battle. Really just thought the world of both of those guys.
Hmm.
And those are kind of my disc golf heroes growing up, uh, when I was 11, 12, and kind of going into the teenage years. I really looked up to those guys a lot.
Paul used to live near here, and
Hmm.
I saw him like one time on the course, and then he moved. I guess that was my fault, but when I first really started going playing a lot, I was in 2020. Just watching him throw, it's like the smoothest throw I have ever
Hmm.
seen.
Yes.
Is there? I mean, how did you get your form?
So I actually did not think, um, didn't copy my form off of anybody,
Hmm.
and didn't really, honestly, didn't even think about it growing up. I just knew, where to aim and how to aim, and
Hmm.
then I just tried to put the disc where I was aiming. So that's kind of, I guess, was the building block for how I throw. And it wasn't till probably a couple years ago where I started really thinking about my form. And I've tried to change it a couple times, throughout the off seasons, and kind of always revert back to basically what I have now. Um, I think it works pretty well for how I'm built and for what I try to do on the course. I
Hmm.
try to be very accurate and be able to hit tight gaps. And I think my form does that well for me. And I have the distance if I need it, but I prefer to just kind of do placement shots and try to stay in the fairway in the middle.
I mean, that's to me. I think accuracy is on most courses is premium to distance. It's just
Hmm.
me.
Yep, I would agree.
Um, Again, when you got on the pro tour, you know you're the new kid on the block. How long did it take for the other pros to kind of like accept you into the fraternity of the pro
Hmm.
tour?
Man, I think um, pretty much right at the start. Alden is also from Georgia, and so I had played with him a couple times in local tournaments, and so I knew who he was. Um, and really just try to be friends with him, and really try to get close with him. And
Mhm.
then he kind of brought up, he was friends with Gavin the year that I played on tour in 2022. And so then kind of this natural friendship formed with Gannon and Gavin and Alden and me. And I think really by the end of 2022, we had a good core group of guys there. And then we were able to kind of make a name for ourselves in the disc golf community. And um, I think certainly by the time I won Idlewild uh, in July of 22, that was kind of when I started to see myself as somebody who could make it on tour. And then I think other people started kind of seeing that as well. Um, and then certainly in 2023 was kind of like the big year for me. But
Mhm.
yeah, pretty much right away we had a good core group of touring players, that we could just hang out with and play practice rounds with. And I think that's so crucial, for people trying to get on tour, is really, if you have connections on tour, try to deepen those connections and build those friendships. Because I think without those guys and without my brother on the road, touring would not be as fun. And I really don't
Yes.
know if I would be doing it, without having that uh, group of guys I can go back to, and we can just relax, and we can goof off, and we can you know bounce ideas off of each other. We can critique each other's play. All of this stuff is just a huge asset on the road.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's one thing I said is I don't know how people. Did you have a van or how did you travel?
Mhm. Yeah, so in 2022 and 2023, I had a tiny Ford Transit Connect that was just big enough, my feet touched the door and my head touched the passenger seat. I had a bed back there, and yeah, so then I slept in that van, and Alden and Gavin had vans, and so we would travel together, park in Cracker Barrel parking lots or Walmart parking lots, and we had this little camp stove. We would grill out hot dogs and uh, you know occasionally hamburgers, and it was a fun, just a good way, I think, to introduce yourself to road life.
Hmm. So did you like that first year, 2022, half a season?
Mhm.
Was that almost like a test to see is this something I really want to try to do?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Um, Earlier that year in 2022, was I was going to college for a business administration degree, and I didn't have anything lined up. I didn't really have any ideas of what I wanted to do. And so in March of 2022, I was like, well, I'm gonna go play disc golf. And so I bought the van and spent pretty much all my money on this van. And as soon as I graduated in May, I took off from Georgia and drove 40 hours to Portland and played in the Portland Open.
Wow. That is a long trip to start things off.
Oh yeah, it was a fun drive.
Wow. That's crazy thought to me. I just can't imagine. I'm such a house person.
Mhm.
Just being on the road, going from tournament to tournament to tournament. And I was talking to one of my friends one day, and I was like, it's hard to get the pros on because they got so much going on.
Mhm.
And he was like, what, they go throw some disc and then they go home. I was like, no, you don't understand. It's not like golf where they got private jets going from course to course. But
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
it would, maybe one day, maybe
One
one
day,
day.
one day. If we believe it, we can achieve it.
Oh yeah.
What is the difference between 1X and 2X?
Um, I think the 2X proves that it wasn't luck the first time. And that's really what it means for me, um, you know, kind of separating yourself from, one time it's like, all right, well, you played good for 1 week and you outplayed everybody that week, but kind of go back to back, it kind of shows that you are a consistent player, and it wasn't
Mhm.
just that 1 week, that 1 year that you won the tournament. You were able to back it up and prove that you know that it wasn't lucky. I don't like that term, but
Yeah.
it really does. It shows that you put the work in, you're able to do it again, and so it really does mean the second one means more to me than the first one.
Nice. What'd you think of the trophy?
Man, it's funny. I haven't seen that trophy since that day because I shipped it home, and it was an interesting one. I think it was I think it was that jug looking thing.
Yeah,
The
it was it's kind of known for moonshine around these parts.
Okay, that's what I heard. Yep. Yeah, it'll look good on the mantle, and
Yeah.
that's all I care about. So,
Hmm. After you won, I saw a quote. Somebody posted on Instagram, and I think you commented on it. Um, and it's not verbatim how it was right here, but
mhm.
excuse me, not Simon, when Isaac plays a tournament, I wonder how he ever wins. When Simon
Mhm.
plays Worlds, I wonder how he ever loses. I keep saying Simon. Why do I keep saying? Did I say Simon twice? Isaac. I'm sorry. I'm
Yes,
bad.
I
That's
got the I got what you were saying.
my bad. I butchered
Yep.
I've got it written down perfectly. But do you play different in majors?
I think so. I put a little more effort, a little more practice,
Hmm.
a little more consideration into my game plan.
Hmm.
and I spend a lot of time on the course. So whether that's practicing, just doing field work, or practicing specific shots. Um, this week for the USDGC, I've been out there every day, throwing multiple shots on all the holes, and really
Hmm.
just dialing in the landing zones and figuring out where I want to be. And I think I did that well, especially at New London, and then yeah, actually at Ivy Hill too. Both felt pretty confident there.
Hmm.
But also, I think um, it's nice for most of the majors. My dad will fly out or come caddy for me, and so
Hmm.
that really does help me stay centered and focused. Um, and he's it's nice to have a caddy that you can completely trust. You can say anything to. Um, you just know that they're going to support you and they're going to have your back no matter what. And so that's a crucial part as well for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's a definite comfort there. So I can totally see how that. I mean, as long as like a lot of the FPO players, a lot of them have their significant others with them on court,
Mm-hmm.
like touring all around. Um, yeah, I mean, with you with your brother like that, I can totally see that there's a real comfort there. But what's it
Mm-hmm.
like playing in a group with
Mm-hmm.
your best friends or your brother? Does that make it
Like,
easier or does that make it tougher? How is that?
yeah, like during a tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I think it makes it a little easier. Yeah, I really do enjoy anytime I get to play with Gannon or Gavin or Alden,
Hmm.
or Ezra. I just know it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a
Hmm.
fun day on the course, and you can keep it relaxed, keep it light, and you can joke with them a little bit. Um, and so it's definitely I think everybody I speak for everybody when we get pretty excited when we get to play together.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would love that with my friends. But I would probably mess up because I'd almost be too relaxed playing with my
Yeah,
friends.
yeah,
Um, who do you think is the best player right now on tour on the MPO?
yeah. I think that's it's a pretty easy question. I wish it was a little harder, but I think Gannon Burr obviously is
Hmm.
kind of a head and shoulders above everybody else. And then I think a close second would be Ricky Wysocki.
Hmm.
He's been on fire this year, and uh, and then kind of after that, you have Calvin uh, but after Calvin, I think you kind of get this mix of maybe four or five guys that are
Hmm.
battling for that fourth place spot. But Gannon is definitely top tier this year.
Hmm.
Um, he's just done some incredible stuff.
Yeah, I mean, watching him play is just it's unreal. I
Hmm.
watched him play in the mixed doubles worlds
Hmm.
up here at New London, and it was so much fun to watch the Gannons play together.
Hmm. Yeah.
I love seeing that. Team
Yes.
Gannon Burr.
Hmm.
um, oh, and by the way, it's great seeing Ricky back on his game too after a couple
Hmm.
years where he kind of struggled a little.
It is. It really is. I think he's playing better than he ever has.
Hmm. He's absolutely phenomenal.
Hmm.
Which what was the course you won last year? Was it in Vermont?
It was. Yes.
How'd you how can you compare those courses? Was it one course or
Hmm.
two courses up there?
It was two. It was two.
Now, can you compare those courses to this year's
Hmm.
Worlds?
Yeah, they're actually very similar.
Mhm.
Um, you had one wooded course, and then you had Fox Run, which is more open,
Mhm.
more OB. And I think that's just a great way to do worlds. You have, one tight wooded course, then you have one open course, and it really tests all aspects of a player's game. And I think the courses in Vermont and the courses in Lynchburg did a very good job of kind of balancing those two aspects of the game.
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, I think they were very similar in a lot of ways. Um, and I think that's what you want for a world championships is you want courses that are like that. And then you look ahead to Europe in 2025, the courses are also very similar. You have this wooded course, and then you have this more open style, more OB. And so I really, really like what they've done for the past 3 years for Worlds.
Have you played much in Europe?
I spent about 3 weeks there last year.
Hmm.
and played 2 tournaments in Finland and one in Sweden. And then next year, I will be playing probably a full month over there.
So,
This year, I was only able to go for the European Open, though.
mhm. So what do you think the difference in between European and American disc golf, the crowds and
Mhm.
everything, the whole scenes?
Yeah, I think for the Beast, the crowds are just incredible. For the European Open, um, you have, I mean, multiple thousands of people out there,
Hmm.
which is just so cool to see. I think in terms of course design, they're very, very intentional with how they design the courses and kind of where the obstacles are and very specific shots that you have to throw. And I think that differs a little bit from the U.S. Uh, to where a lot of courses will have like one shot. You're going to be you play a course and you're like, all right, well, we're going to be throwing 400-foot hyzers every hole. And in Europe, they like to switch it up. They like to challenge kind of different shots, different ways to throw. I think they do a really good job.
Hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, I would love to go to Europe. There's so many courses I'd love to play there, but there's a ton in America I still have to get around to. What is your
Uh,
favorite courses?
Favorite courses, man. I think the ones in Vermont are easily top two,
Hmm.
and then the Glendoveer East in Portland
Oh,
is
nice.
is yeah, that one's up there. Definitely one of my favorites.
Uh, Ace Baby says it's a very nice way to say they have better course designs.
Yes, well, they do, and they're very intentional, like I said, with their course designs, and
Hmm.
you have a lot of people who love the game over there, and so I think they really do put the work in. Um, and I think you ask anybody on the tour, and they will say that Europe has um, all the best courses, all the best course designs. And that's not saying we don't have good courses here in the States,
Hmm.
but the European courses are another level.
Hmm. Do you have a struggle when you get up to a hole and it's meters and not feet?
Yes, I think the main issue though is when if I'm on a card of European and playing with
Hmm.
a bunch of European players, I'll ask how far out are you, and they'll say, oh, 4, and they're referring to meters, so 12, 13 feet.
Hmm.
But in my mind, I'm like, all right, 4 feet. What are we talking about here? And so I have to do the mental math uh, on the meters over there.
After Nicholas Antela, who is the next Europeans on the
Hmm.
MPO side to really come and challenge?
Man, that's a good question because I feel like there's a new European player that I haven't heard of popping
Hmm.
up you watch tournaments over there, and
Hmm.
there's always a new name winning or a new name in contention. Um, I think one of the guys that I've played with a couple times, he's also on Prodigy, but Mauri Vilman, I think his name is. I might be pronouncing that wrong, but he's a really solid player, and I think he kind of be the next European to watch for.
Do you think there's a reason why the FPO side, the Europeans have really come over strong and
Mhm.
less so with the MPO?
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know the reason for that. I will say that the European players, they can throw a disc extremely, extremely well.
Hmm.
Some of the best throwers in the world, but there is a lack of, I think, putting capability.
Hmm.
You see it a little bit with the FPO side, and I think you see it a little bit with the MPO side as well. Um, they just have a tendency to miss a little more putts than I think the European play or the American players do, but they make up for it by throwing the disc a lot better. I think that goes for both uh, MPO and FPO.
Hmm. I mean, that watching Evelina and Henna just throw a disc, it's insane to watch.
Hmm.
I won't mention the green.
No.
But I mean, they, in all sincerity, they are actually two of my favorite players. And I
Hmm.
said 2 years ago, I was like, when they get the putting figured out, there's no one going to touch them.
It's game over. Yep.
Mhm. Um, Lincoln said, imagine a disc golf course in the Alps.
I'd love to play there.
I I don't want to imagine that walk.
They have to put in some ski lifts or something.
I saw today you got your rules certification.
Yes.
How many tries did it take?
Only two. I was thinking it was going to be at least four.
Is it because they changed rules or what?
Um, no, not so much that. The questions are they have a lot of unnecessary information in there.
Hmm.
They'll describe the whole course and then they'll be like, all right, well, this guy misplayed a hole, so what's the penalty? And it's like, well, you just need to ask the simple question. We don't need the whole description of
Hmm.
of what the course looked like and all this stuff. Um, but yeah, it's a very interesting. The test is very the wording could be a lot more simple. Um, but you're allowed to look at the rule book. You know, you're allowed to cheat. So there's really not an excuse for missing it the first time.
Well, I mean, I know I would because I'm always like, well, this is what it should be.
Exactly.
Um, are there any rules that you would change?
Oh man. Hmm. Yeah, actually, I think the rule where if you so say you have a Mando and you make the Mando,
Hmm.
but then your disc comes back around
The rollback, yep.
somehow, I think that rule is completely stupid.
Hmm.
Um, I think it's unnecessary. I think there's no point. You have made the Mando and you have crossed on the correct side of the tree. If your disc rolls back or gets a weird kick, it shouldn't matter.
I
I
totally
don't see
agree.
the point of that one. I think it's frankly a really stupid rule.
I mean, that'd be like in baseball, you hit a home run and a fan drops it back over in foul territory. It's like, oh, it's foul ball.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's
Like
so
that's
stupid.
yeah, yeah. Standardization. Do you
Mhm.
think T pads and baskets should be standardized?
For the Pro Tour, yes, for
Because
sure.
I have a very specific thought on these.
Yes, I think if a course is going to be on the Pro Tour, um, it needs to have standard tee pads and it needs to have standard baskets.
Hmm.
And that way, players can get specific shoes that they
Hmm.
know are going to work on all the Pro Tour event tournaments. You can kind of prepare a little bit better. You can get the equipment that you need. Um, but there are some shoes that that players have that work really well on concrete tees, but then they work terrible on turf tees. And so I think that if we had a standardization of tee pads, it would be very simple. It would make the game a lot more professional. And the
Yep.
same with baskets. You know, if we could practice on the same basket every single week, it would be it would just look good from a spectator's point of view.
Hmm.
You know, to see that we're playing on the same stuff every week. And so I think that would be a huge step in the right direction.
See, I really think T pads really need to be
Hmm.
standardized. That's a real safety issue for me.
Hmm.
I mean, if like there's some the pads that have like the blocks on them,
Hmm.
and if some of those get wet, I mean, you can slide really easy and get hurt. I've seen again Henna. I saw her slide and almost get hurt many a time out there. But but baskets themselves, I don't have an issue with. But
Hmm.
I mean, what excuse will we have if we have standardized baskets and we have a spit out? Then we don't have an excuse.
That's true. That is
But
a good
I
point.
really think T pads need to be done really badly.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Um, during competition, have you ever called a violation on someone or had one called on you?
Back home, I have called my brother on a foot fault one time. Um, at I think it was a local C tier tournament, and he like stepped completely on his disc, and so I called a foot fault, and then another player seconded it, and so that was that. I think that's the only violation I've ever called, and I actually have been not officially called on a violation, but one of the first rounds at Champions Cup in 2023. After the round, uh, a PDGA marshal came and he called my entire group together, and he was like, "All right, you guys, you guys need to pick up the speed a little bit. You're playing too slow." And this was after the round. He's like, just make sure you're playing a little faster next round, which was funny for me because I'm a relatively quick player.
Yeah.
And so I think it was more directed maybe towards some other members in the group, but I was kind of lumped in with it. And so, it's kind of funny that I've been, talked to about speed of play because I think that's something I do well. But yeah, it was definitely more of an unofficial violation.
I mean, would you actually call something on somebody? And I mean, if it's really obvious, I understand, yes. But if it's close, would you ever call anything? Because I don't think I would.
No, it's one of those things where if somebody's like blatantly foot faulting on a putt, and they're like, "Hey, your foot's like way out of position. You need to step that back." But a lot of time, if you're throwing, a shot from your marker or your mini, and your foot is like slightly to the side or slightly over your disc, like it doesn't affect the shot at all. It doesn't change a thing about it. There's no advantage. And maybe you should call it just to keep the rules of the rules are there for a reason. But I think 99.9% of players wouldn't call a thing like that.
Yeah.
Slow play, that's a different question though, because I think a lot of players are like, you have your 30 seconds, you should be throwing in that amount of time, and so that violation you're more likely to get called on.
Did they get rid of the timeout rule?
I think that's
because I saw the thing like, well, then you get a minute. I'm like, wait, what?
I think that's going to be in effect next year. Maybe.
Oh, it's so stupid.
Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, people have an idea of what proper speed is. I mean, there are a couple players that maybe need to speed up a little bit. I mean, just let them play. Just let them play.
I think it should be like the PGA Tour, where you have a pace of play, and if you're not keeping up the pace of play, then you get talked to, and your whole card gets kind of this warning. But other than that, tournaments are slow. They're going to take a while. And as long as the card ahead of you is not 2 or 3 holes ahead, I don't have a problem with
it. My only thought about that is if you're on the final card, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
but I mean, if you're holding up people, like there's, I've seen times when you have like 3 groups on one tee. Yeah, then there could be issue, but then again, it could just be tough holes.
Very true. Yeah, it's all situational dependent for sure.
Where do you think you will be in the next few years, as far as your disc golf?
Yeah, I want to get a lot more Elite Series wins. That's something that I only have 1 Elite Series win, and I have 3 majors and 1 Elite Series, and I would like to kind of pad the stats on that a little bit, because those are the ones we play week in and week out, and so it'd be nice to get a few more of those under your belt, and get used to winning on a week-to-week basis rather than just the big tournaments.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with just the big tournaments.
No, and obviously, if you had to choose, you would choose the bigger ones for sure.
Yeah.
But it's also nice to play consistently well throughout the year, and to take a couple of those down throughout the season, and then also play well at the big ones.
Did you get the basket at W.R. Jackson hole 18?
I did.
I remember when those were up, and I was like, man, I hope he gets that. That'd be awesome.
Yes, that's going in my front yard whenever I buy a house.
That's awesome. Will they be back there next year, or they still don't know?
I don't think so. Um, the hurricane that came through that tore up a lot of North Carolina
Hmm.
really put a hurting on Augusta as well. And I know the
Oh, really?
IDGC lost a lot of trees and a lot of their property was damaged as well. So,
Yeah, I knew. I mean, like they stopped it with what was the bugs that were eating all the trees?
mhm,
Let me put this in here.
yeah, yeah, that caused a lot of damage. And then they had started, they had actually talked to me at Worlds this year, and they're like, "We'd love to get you down to kind of help design things, help talk about things, just see where, you know, if you had some thoughts about where to take this property." And I don't know if that's still going to go on with the damage that's down there, but I certainly hope it will.
Mhm. Do you have any thoughts about in the future doing course designs?
I would love to do course design. I think that's I would just love to get our like my group of guys, Alden, Gavin, Gannon,
Hmm.
Ezra, and just go take a blank slate and just design it. I think we could design some of the best courses in the world as a group.
That would be so cool.
Hmm.
Now, would you half and half wooded to open,
Hmm.
or what kind of direction would you go with it?
Yeah, I think obviously depending on the property, but
Hmm.
yeah, I would love to see just a beautiful wooded course, maybe broken up here and there by some open shots, because I think that's kind of the best way to play disc golf is a good mix of
Hmm.
holes. Um, but yeah, really, whatever the property was looking like, I bet we could make something good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, the property is going to dictate what you do to begin with. Do
Hmm.
you like more hilly golf or more flat golf?
I like it to be kind of in the middle. I like to
Hmm.
have some elevation, but not a whole lot of elevation.
Hmm. Because I used to love watching when the pros were playing De La Vega,
Hmm.
and I was like, that just looks brutal to play.
Yeah, yeah.
And those hills just look insane, like you're climbing a mountain.
Hmm.
So
Yes.
the Alps are out for me.
And no go.
In 5 years, who do
Mhm.
you think the world champion will be? Because
Mm,
I always pick 5 years. I ask everyone this question because I kind of look at it like some of the guys that are there now are
mhm,
kind of, some of them might be gone by then, and like a
mhm.
next generation of really great players will be there, and some of them are current now.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance it'll be Gannon. He'll only be 24 at that
Oh,
point.
gosh,
24,
that's
25.
incredible.
Yeah. So there's a good chance he's world champion in 5 years. But I think I really do think there's a possibility that somebody we've never even heard of. You ask somebody back in 2018, 2019, if I was going to win worlds, and they would have been like,
Mhm.
"Who's that?"
Yep.
Um, so I think that our sport is just changing, and there's all these new faces, all these new people playing. That I think it very well could be somebody we've never even seen.
And that when I asked Juliana Corver that question, I was expecting, to be honest, I was like, this was last year, like 2023. I was like, I was kind of expecting Ellie Ezra
Hmm.
because amazingly talented young lady.
Oh
And
yes.
she was like, she looked at me and said that exact thing. She's like, I don't think we know who it is yet. I don't think
Hmm.
we've even seen him yet.
Yeah.
Right. She's like, yeah, it could be some 14, 15-year-old that we don't even know.
Hmm.
I was
There's
like,
a there's a
that's
good
awesome.
chance. Yeah.
A couple questions over here. We have, do you enjoy Maple Hill?
Yeah. I didn't get to play there this year.
Yep,
Was dealing
injury.
with a little bit of a finger injury, but overall, yeah, Maple Hill, the fans are always super fun out there. Hole 8 is, kind of the iconic hole. Um, and really just the whole atmosphere out there is great. The course is fun. I think there's a couple of holes that I don't like, but overall, it's a great piece of property, a great
Mhm.
course, and it's a really fun tournament.
Do you like that gate that they have?
The Chipmunk Gate.
Yeah, Chipmunk Gate.
Yeah, I think that's very clever. I think that it definitely made the hole a lot harder,
Hmm.
a lot harder.
I wonder if Barnsby likes that after he hit the chipmunk.
He probably thought it was hilarious. I bet.
Oh, in Europe, do you ever think about winning the tournament and hoisting the axe?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I want to win a tournament that has a weapon for a trophy so bad. I would. There's there's a couple tournaments over in the States, here in the States where you get a sword,
Hmm.
and I that would just be so cool. So yeah, axe, sword, whatever. If it's a weapon, I want it as a trophy.
I did not peg you to be violent. Now I know.
Uh,
It's an idea I had, and I tell me what you think about this. You may say it's ridiculous. You may say it's a good idea, but I've thought for a few years now that for majors only, they should have an actual physical podium for the top three to have a
mm.
picture on. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yep. I think they did for 2023.
Oh, did they?
I think they did
Hmm.
because we had to march out, and honestly, everything was a blur. But I think I remember there being a podium. Um, there was definitely not a podium this year, though.
No, no. I mentioned that to Nate Heinold, and I never got a
Mhm.
response back for that, which is not a shocker. But
Yeah.
I just think it would be so cool for the fans to take pictures. I think it'd be cool for the players, especially the
Hmm.
ones fighting for second and third. If there's a
Hmm.
gap,
Yeah.
to kind of really fight for that last spot to be on the actual podium. I think that'd be so cool.
Yeah. I think that'd be pretty neat.
And I see that in Europe a lot too. So I was like,
Hmm.
yeah. Have you played
Yeah.
the disc golf festival?
No, I wasn't able to do that this year, but obviously with the major over there, um, next year in 2025, I will definitely be there, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and this may be our last question.
Hmm.
Have you dealt with any injuries along the way? And I know you just had one.
Hmm. Yeah, that's been kind of the first big injury for me. It
Hmm.
really wasn't a big injury, but uh, dealing with kind of that finger splitting right on pretty much the pad of my pointer finger on my
Hmm.
throwing hand. It really made it hard to throw like touch shots, and and thankfully it was a relatively quick fix. I just started using some lotion there, and then um, didn't play for a week, and it was healed up totally fine.
Hmm.
But other than that, I've dealt with, I guess, like minor injuries, like I guess my knee was a little sore, kind of in the mid season of this year.
Hmm.
I thought about getting a knee brace, but really kind of played through it. Didn't really care a whole lot about it, and it seemed to fix itself, pretty, over a period of a couple months. But other than that, not really any major injuries, which I am super thankful, that I haven't had to deal with those yet.
I literally just thought of two questions while you were answering that. Do y'all have any like medical staff on tour with y'all?
Yeah, so we had a guy, Seth Muncie, was kind of the athletic trainer and the medical guy on staff who would deal with injuries. He's been a little more long distance, and we've had people fill in for him while he's been gone. And as far as I know, I don't think we have anybody on site usually.
Hmm.
Um, and this is the first season that's been the case. 2022 and 2023, there were people every week that were on site. Um, if people had injuries or were dealing with like maybe some soreness, he would kind of help them figure out what to do. And we do have all sorts of equipment that you can use, massage guns
Hmm.
and all these different things that help. But I don't think this year we haven't really had anybody on site.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising because on some of the courses, lots of rocks, lots of stumps and
Mhm.
stuff. You could easily roll an ankle, or really, I mean, or good gracious, when Eagle threw that grenade and hit the cameraman square in the head.
Yeah,
I mean, things
yeah.
can happen. I mean, disc flying to the spectators.
Hmm.
So I'm kind of surprised they don't kind of have someone on site for that, or
Yeah.
maybe have like a local EMT kind of coming in from
Hmm.
tournament to tournament.
And They may have like a local EMT on site, and
Hmm.
I'm sure they're prepared to deal with injuries or accidents as they happen. Um, but it might not be advertised to the
Hmm.
players
Yeah.
necessarily.
Yeah,
But
I can see that.
I'm sure they're equipped to deal with whatever comes up.
Hmm. And last question, because I should have asked this one way earlier. Is there anyone on MPO, FPO that is like the senior person playing? And I hate to say that because it sounds like they're old, but
Hmm.
someone that when you first come on, you could reach out to ask questions, kind of stuff you may not know. You can be like, hey, somebody,
Mm-hmm.
maybe like a Sexton or Nate Sexton or somebody like
Hmm.
that that's been around the block a while.
Yeah, you mentioned Nate Sexton. He- by far one of my favorite players. Somebody
Hmm.
I admire both on and off the course. But I think anyone like him, Paul Ulibarri, Jeremy Colling, people who have been doing this a while, um, you could go to them with pretty much any question, and they're all nice enough guys that I think they would be more than willing to answer it, and kind of point you in the right direction.
It's funny because that's the exact group of guys that I was thinking of.
Yes,
Like FPO, I just assume everybody just go to Own, and Own will tell everybody everything.
that's probably the case. Yeah.
All right, man. I just hope you know how much I appreciate your time and two time. You're right there with only a handful of players to ever win back to back, which
Mhm.
is insane to think about.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for being on.
of course. Yeah,
You,
it's been great. Sorry I was late.
oh, it's hey, it's okay. It's all right. It's a two-stroke penalty, but I'll.
Oh yeah, I missed the whole first hole, so that's a par plus four.
Oh, that is true. Oh man, have you actually
Yeah.
ever missed that a tea time?
No, but I have nightmares about it every now and then.
I know Scott Stokely one time. He said he went to a tee and they had two courses on the property. He was at the wrong tee and ended up getting penalized because for it.
Ugh, that's terrible. Yeah, it's gonna happen one of these days, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, hope fingers crossed.
All right, man. I might actually be at practice tomorrow because one of my friends is playing, so I might try to get up there tomorrow for that. So 4 hour drive. Looking forward to it.
Cool. There you go. Very cool.
All right, man. Thank you so much, and I'd love to have you back on sometime. If
Mhm.
y'all play around here, it'd be awesome to meet you in person and everything. That'd be awesome.
For sure. Yeah, that'd be sick. I think we have tour champions coming up your way
Yep,
next year, so
yep.
maybe we can make that happen.
That'd be awesome. Hey, I will definitely keep in touch, or you can keep in
Mhm.
touch. Drop me a
Yeah.
message. But anything else?
No, no, sounds great. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, and you guys have an incredible day.